Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Life Eater Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Life Eater Show, we help people make more, work less, and live better. I am joined by my recently married Polish friend, Polish Peter. What's up, bro?
I'm going to go like this.
Yeah. For those of you watching, Peter is shaking his hand on the video with his little wedding ring on there. You're a taken man, dude. Congratulations.
That's right. I love them. Married life is good. So far,
That's
so
it.
good.
That's it.
Yeah.
So speaking of marriage, we are going to talk about accountability and results because they're related, right?
Totally. Right. I mean, I need to keep my wife accountable to everything she does or doesn't do. Right.
And I want to know what the results are going to be on that.
Yes. I'll let you know next month.
That's going to go fantastic. I have no doubt.
Yeah. So in all seriousness, yes, we are talking about results, accountability, and this particular conversation is more towards a business. How do you actually make this happen? And what I really like about this recording with this particular guest is that we dove a little bit of why certain accountability works and why it doesn't. And I want you guys to pay attention to that as we're talking, because I think knowing people helps tremendously to see why you, for instance, if you've tried accountability and you failed at it, why did that happen? So listen to the episode that I think is going to answer the question for you.
That's right. We have Joe Novara on. He's an author, he's a speaker, and he's a coach. Here we go with our interview with Joe right now. Joe Novara, what's up, buddy? I just talked with you the other day. For everybody listening, Joe's a really cool, awesome guy. He's also a very successful business coach. He's an author and he's a speaker. So, man, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, this would be awesome. So Peter, I've known Joe, for a few years now, at least. I met you through kind of the professional speaking circuit and some of our mutual friends that are very successful. And, you and I have developed a friendship. And so I'm really excited for our people to learn about what you do. And in particular, we're going to talk on this episode in particular about, accountability and results. You've cited these as being incredibly important for the successful business. And I wanted to dive into that. So tell us, set this up for us and why are these things important and how do they relate to each other?
So, as human beings, it's so easy to get distracted. and I could just find, I've owned businesses. This isn't my first business that I've owned. I've owned businesses that have had multiple employees and in day to day, it's just so easy to get distracted from the day-to-day life that's going on. And so what I found is it would always work best for me to have somebody that was kind of calling me out when I started going down rabbit holes. If I started going in directions that I shouldn't be going. And I know we don't like to use that word should because we tend to should all over ourselves, but we do know the things that we should not be doing, that's for sure. And so I needed somebody and continue to need folks that can help me to stay on track. And that's what I provide to the people that I work with. As far as results are concerned, it's easy as business owners and sales professionals for people they just kind of go through the motions and they're not focused on a real goal. Where are you going? Where are you trying to get to? What is the pot at the end of this rainbow? Because if you don't have results that you're looking for, you can actually get over the rainbow and walk right past the pot and not even realize that was where you were what you were aiming for. Mm-hmm. So that's what I help with. I help with identifying what are the results you're looking for in your business and what is the plan we're going to put in place to help you get there.
So is the accountability, would you say most people benefit from accountability because of those distractions and because of the squirrels? And would you say that's like a big problem you see in business owners where it's like, there's always a better idea or there's a different approach or, hey, this person's doing this, maybe I should do that. Like where is the biggest value in accountability come from? And what are the dangers that accountability fixes?
So it's a great question. And I'll kind of lay it out with one or two. Definitely with one of my clients. She has a facility here in Morrisville. She's a distributor for these large gasket die cutting machines. Okay. She has a facility here in Morrisville. She has a facility in France, and the manufacturer is out of Taiwan. She's got a lot of moving parts going on. Okay. And so when we meet, we lay out, okay, these are the goals that you have between now and the next time we talk. Okay. And whether it's new contracts, whether it's reaching out to client prospects that have fallen off that we haven't talked to in a while, whatever it is. So between that now and the next time we talk, there are going to be 40 fires that come up. So she may if we leave her with like 3 to 5 items that she's going to focus on, between now and the next time we talk, she may hit 2 of them, sometimes 3. So what I do is during that period between the 2 weeks, I tag her every once in a while. Hey, just wanted to check and see how things went with the contract. I want to see how things went with setting up your expo in Florida, anything like that. When we meet next time, then it's about, sometimes I go back 3-4 months and say, hey, when we talked back in May, we were focusing on this, and I see that we haven't gone back to that in a while because of this, and this happening. So that's where my accountability comes in, is that I'm constantly looking at what was it that we were doing to try and move us forward, or what were we focusing on that was supposed to move us to this point, to the goal, and what are we leaving behind? And so this way, sometimes they'll say, oh, you know what? That totally went sideways and we're not doing that. Or sometimes it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about that. So that's the kind of accountability that I'm keeping my clients, on track with.
Well, any business owner, and I'm sure, you've had multiple businesses, this as well, as like, it's a constant barrage of potential distractions of, oh my Lord, this is on fire, that's smoldering, this isn't a new opportunity over here, I got to do this other thing over here, this is broken, this is missing, like, and it's just constant, like it just doesn't stop. Like, and for any of you who think it's going to stop, it doesn't stop. Now, you can certainly, I think, put tools and systems and resources in place to help with that stuff. But even so, there's an omnipresent threat of derailing you.
That's right.
Do you also see people that like just don't do anything, and like that, you keep them accountable because like they're stuck in an analysis mode, or they don't know what to do next, and so they don't do anything, and accountability maybe gives them a kick in the butt to move forward with that? Or like, where does that play into this at all, or is that not really an issue?
So here's the thing, is that the people that I work with, they're usually very driven. Okay. These are driven individuals. People who have analysis paralysis don't tend to hire me, nor do they tend to hire other coaches.
Okay.
Or if they do hire a coach, what will happen, or if they go to an event like your event or my event, the Total Business Breakthrough, what they end up doing is they walk away and saying, oh yeah, it's a lot of rah, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work. I go home but the thing is, they don't put the work, they don't take action.
So they're causing their own problems, really.
Yes. So they need somebody like that, either A, needs additional help beyond what I'm going to be able to provide them, because it goes deeper than just needing accountability. They need to be able to break free of that kind of analysis paralysis. Okay. Or they need to have their own breakthrough that will an epiphany that will occur to them one day, that I need to stop this crap because I'm not going to be able to move forward in my business if I don't. So that's just been my observation around that.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. And so like to what I'm hearing, like accountability really is for the person who is taking action, because, and especially it almost seems like the more action you take, the more likely it is you can become susceptible to, the faster you move, the quicker it is to like crash the car.
Yeah, that's right. That is very true. I had a client, I've had clients who, when they tried to break out of that mode of the, being paralyzed, sometimes they'll they'll move forward a little bit. I want to just go back to what I was saying before, but they haven't done the internal work. And so they will try that to move forward, but they go back and eventually they start to where they're not doing the work. And they'll come to the session and they haven't done any of the work they were going to do, and they've got a new pile of crap in front of them. And so that's somebody where I've found where I don't want to, I don't feel like I'm being in integrity to continue working with that person. If when that happens, people need to get out of their own way.
Yeah. Yeah. So one other thing that struck me as you were talking here is accountability. You need to keep people accountable for the right things. And so there's probably a large amount of discretion that goes into choosing what to really focus on. And that probably ties into what you were talking earlier about, like choosing the right results. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So with some folks there, and I think you and I talked about this a little bit offline, and it depends on the kind of results that they're looking for. Some people are looking for they want their results to be, more sales. Other people are trying to build a team of employees. Some people they want the results that they want is to eliminate all the crap that happened in the last year that was a bad year for them. And so it all depends when I'm working with somebody, what are the results you're looking for? But at the end of the day, Jason and Peter, at the end of the day, there's no lie. We're all trying to make money. I don't care if you're a not-for-profit or if you are a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We're all trying to make money. And so that is the end result. The end result is that we want to have a business that is able to make more money. So to me, that's the main focus, is I want to make sure my clients, that they're in a position where they can make more money. Okay, that's the end result for everybody. The results, but it all depends, the results that they're looking for from me. It can be any number of areas. I've had some clients who've never networked in their lives, and they realize that they need to get out there because of all the noise with, social media, direct mail marketing, whatever it is, the noise that's out there that's preventing them from getting eyes on their business. Sometimes they need to just learn how to network because they've never had to do that. They've never done that before. Talk about an engineer, a guy who's a mechanical engineer, bought a sign company, and he understands systems and processes, but he's got to be able to get out there and tell people that I can do signs for you. He's never had to do that before. All the work showed up on his desk in front of him for the past 30 years. Now, all of a sudden, he's got a business, and he's like, well, okay, I guess, what's his name? Kevin Costner lied to me when he said, if you build it, they will come. Because that's the biggest load of crap. You build it, then you market it, then they'll come. And that's one of the things that I do, is I help people to identify where are the areas that are best for you to market your business.
So I have a question for you, Joe, because I think you bring up a really good point here. And what I'm hearing between the lines, and there is a lot of it has to do with how the person is, who the person is, right? For instance, like the mechanical engineer. Is he the guy who is good with people, going out there and talking to everybody, right? Is he like an extrovert or is he an introvert? Do you put that into account when you're talking with clients? And so how does that process work? Like, what are you looking for?
So let's say if I have somebody who's really introverted, we'll go with that. I'm not going to tell this person that they need to go join every networking event that is out there, because that we all know is just going to backfire. Okay, so let's identify, in that instance, who is your target client. So first we have to go through the process of identifying who this individual's target client is. Now, the target client could be, sometimes our target client could be a little broad. It doesn't have to be just for a sign maker, whatever, small businesses. It could be a number of things. It could be, baseball stadiums. It could be whatever. But let's identify something where there's an association that could be good for the kind of business that you're trying to go after. So when I used to own a printing company, one of the things I did was I got very involved in the dental society, the dental association. And the reason was because dentists print a ton of forms. They print referral slips. It was just so much stuff that they were printing that a dentist was a great connection for me. So where am I going to find dentists? At the dental association. And so that's one of the things that I'll teach an introvert is identify who you want to work with and then join their associations. Now, if it's an extrovert, the problem with extroverts is that extroverts don't listen as well. So
that's not true.
One of the things, huh?
That's not true.
So one of the things that I have to teach extroverts is to be listening a lot more than they're talking. Okay, and a lot of my extroverted coaching clients will admit to that they don't listen enough, that they're always looking to talk about either themselves. They don't like to have silence in the conversation. So those are things that we'll work on as far as when if they're going to be networking. And one of the things that I learned from Bob Berg, I don't know if you guys know who Bob Berg is. He wrote Endless Referrals and Giver's Gain. No, The Go-Giver.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Two of my favorite books.
Great book.
And so Bob teaches the FORM method, which is family, organization, recreation, and motivation. And when you're having a conversation with somebody, you can ask any number of questions to somebody around their family, organization, and organization doesn't necessarily mean occupation. It could be, if they're a part of a civic organizations, are they part of an association? Like Jason, I know you're a big part of the NSA. So that I could create a conversation for hours with you on that. Okay. So, and then what motivates you? What are the things that get your juices pumping? What do you enjoy doing? And those are the things, that's the recreation part. And that's why, it helps us to keep a conversation going where I'm developing now. What I'm doing is I'm building relationship. And that's another big part that I'm sorry to say that a lot of extroverts are guilty of extroverts in sales can be guilty of being very transactional because they're moving from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And I'm not saying this is across the board, all extroverts, but it's very common. Whereas the introverts are more analytical. Again, we go back to the analysis paralysis, but introverts can be more analytical and they're actually listening. They're listening to every word this person is saying. So sometimes we have to be careful when we're talking to an introvert, especially if you're somebody like myself who jokes around a lot, because they don't realize that I'm always joking.
Right. So here's what I'm hearing. And, one of the things that I do in my coaching program is at the beginning of my relationship, I have them take a couple of tests, to kind of one of those personality tests. And then as I'm having conversations with them, I get to either confirm it or see if this is what kind of a person they are. Are you saying, this is what I'm hearing from you, is that when you are having this relationship with the client and you're talking about setting up the goals and you're talking about setting up the accountability, the type of goals and type of accountability that you set up with the clients are aligned with how the person is, whether they're extrovert or extrovert. Is that true?
I would say that is true. And I use one of the tests that I learned from my training at the Robin Madonis training was the 6 human needs test. And that has been so helpful in helping me to identify. Like I have one of my coaching clients, it was pretty clear to me that she was very focused on certainty, that she needed things to be certain. But I needed certainty to know that I was right about that. And and so when I had her do that test, It was very clear, and it's helped me to be able to kind of help her when we're working together as far as our coaching is concerned. Go ahead, Jason.
You reminded me of something, Joe. So it almost sounds like, and you didn't say this, and I could be wrong here, but what I'm hearing is like, depending on the kind of business owner or client you're working with, the kind of accountability, not just like what you're holding them accountable for, that we just talked about, is going to be influenced by their personality and their individual makeup, but also maybe even kind of accountability that you provide is going to be different. So for instance, somebody, and I'll just use, this isn't accountability exactly, but it's as an illustration. Like, if you're working out with somebody, one person is going to be motivated. If you're like, come on, you can do it. And the other person would be like, come on, you wimp. Like, and one person is motivated one way and someone's motivated the other way. So when it comes to accountability, I even wonder if there's individual changes in how you keep somebody accountable that makes a difference in its effectiveness as well.
Yeah, so it's an interesting the point that you're making. I want to start off with a story that happened, about 6 months ago. This woman who was talking to me about hiring me as her coach. And she told me that her previous coach that she had been working with for a number of years, that a big part of their coaching was that they had a lot of knockdown, drag out fights. And so right off the bat, I knew this was not a client for me. Okay. I am not looking to have knockdown, drag out fights with my clients. Okay. I want my clients to have their own opinions. I want my clients to know that in the conversation, this is not just a one-way thing that you're going to do what I say and that's all there is to it. That's not the way it is. But at the same time, I want them to know that you hired me based on my experience, based on the things that I've done over the years, over the fact that I've owned businesses, that I've done sales for 30 years. I've been in some form of sales ever since high school. And so that's where that part of where I want my clients to know where we're going to be working, how we're working together. As far as the question that you asked, I'm forgetting what the question was now. So is there any difference in the way you hold people accountable based on that? Yeah. Right. So the way I hold people accountable is that, yes, it can change from person to person. But I'm pretty much I will make sure that I'm always going back and looking at my notes. I'm pretty kind to people. I'm not hard on people, but I'm very direct. So that's one thing that I told you this recently in a conversation we had privately, that I'm very direct with my clients. They don't hire me to sugarcoat things, but I'll never be mean to somebody. If I think somebody's very lazy, I'm not going to tell them that they're a lazy person. That's just somebody I'm not going to work with. If I think if somebody's cheating their clients, yes, I will say that that's not something you want to be doing. But I'm not going to, tell them that they're a piece of garbage. I'm not that kind of direct. But I'm very direct. If, I will say to one of my clients recently, she keeps talking about that she was having issues with her employees, or one specific employee. And it just got to a point where I was like, listen, you have two choices here. You either have to accept that this is how she is because she's not changing. And you bring this up every single session. So you either need to accept that that's how she is, or you have to let her go, because it's going to continue to cause you stress. I said, those are the only two choices you have here anymore. And so she let her go. She realized what I was saying was right. She was not going to be able to accept this person the way they were as an employee. So she had to let it go. I'm very direct like that.
Okay.
So
tell us, how does somebody, let's say somebody has identified some results or some actions they want to take in their life or in their business. What are some ways that they can find accountability? Can people keep themselves accountable? Do they ask their spouse? What are some ways that people can actually build accountability into their life?
Yeah. So for me, what I learned first for myself was that I had to, in my goals for my life and my business, is that I first had to write them down. And I keep it's on the other side of the room here, but I keep them front and center I have them on a big whiteboard. My 6 goals for 2021. Okay. So to me, that's one way to keep yourself accountable, is to know what are the goals or the results that you're looking for in your life and business, and have them front and center. So that this way it's always a reminder of what it is what you're trying to achieve. If it's at the business, my one client that I was talking about with the facilities here in the United States and France, in her conference room, which is where she does most of her meetings, is a giant whiteboard with a thermometer, with all different markers. And so the final marker is 4 million, and it's already red. So that was really exciting when I went for one of our sessions, and that was filled in, that we had already beat that $4 million mark. And so that's to me, have your goals and the results you're looking for front and center. So this way it's always a reminder. Always a reminder.
Got it. And then how about, as far as, I love that, man. And we talk about a lot about that for Life in Air, like keeping your vision in front of you and constantly going back to it. And, just make that part of like you see that thing every day, multiple times a day, ideally. And so what about anything else aside from that? What about people? Like what are some places to look for people maybe to help keep you accountable? Or are there any other, do you set up reminders in your calendar to do, like, what are some other kind of things you've seen successful people do in terms of accountability?
Yeah. So one of the things I had learned from one of my coaches, a gentleman named Earl Haddon, was he had taught me to what he calls the ideal calendar. And that means to have areas blocked out in your calendar of that there's no excuse for me to not do what I need to do in this block. So I have the gym is in my calendar at 2:00 every day, 6 days a week. I have the gym blocked out from 2 to 4. And so and I think
that's my nap block, by the way.
That's what I was just going to say. Jojo has a nap time blocked off at that time, and he hits it every day without fail.
But Jason, you called me that one day, and I was in the gym at 2.
That's like right. You were. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should call him around 2:00 every day.
Yeah.
And I've done
just
that
to mess with me. But the point is that so that really helped me. This was years ago. That helped me. So I started pushing. That's one of the things that I teach my clients is if that's when you're going to do social media marketing, block that out on your calendar. Is that when you're going to make follow-up calls? Block that out on your calendar. Is this when you're going to have individual sit-downs with your employees and talk about what's the week ahead look like? What has happened in the past week? Whatever it is that you want to do, block that time out. Now, I think another part that you talked about is the people. Okay. I do believe in having other people hold you accountable. And the way to do that is we all have people who are encouragers and people who are discouragers in our life. We all have those people. A lot of people will tend to want to go to the discouragers and share with them what their goals are that they're looking for in their life and businesses. And a lot of times it's because the discouragers will give them permission to not do the things that they're trying to do. When you go to somebody and you say, I'm thinking that I want to hire some employees for my business. And they'll be like, oh my God, you don't want to hire employees. They're such a pain in the butt. And they're always, and then you've got all the IRS issues, and they can lay out every problem you'll have with hiring employees. Whereas you reach out to somebody who's an encourager, and they'll say, well, having an employee could be really good, but what are you looking for in having an employee? How can it help your business? Can it free up time? They'll start working with you and trying to help you identify a plan, or just encouraging, like next time they see you, hey, have you hired an employee yet? How's that going? And that's the kind of thing that difference. So you want to make sure that the people that you're reaching out to are people that are going to encourage you, but are also going to be coming at it from a position of reality. You don't want somebody that's just going to be sugarcoating everything and, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, I say hire 10 employees. That'll really help you. I did that once. One of my businesses, we hired way too many employees too quickly. And it was, we had a real reality check pretty quickly on that when payroll came around.
Yeah, right.
Learn the lesson from me. But that's where, have people in your life that can hold you accountable, but that are also cheerleaders for you in that regard too.
Yeah, that seems really important. The people, and you kind of said this as well, like people that ideally, they're positive. Yeah, they're encouraging, but at the same time, they're going to give you some advice and some real world experience. Like, hey, have you thought about this? And hey, I like the idea, but have you considered blah, 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 to help you kind of really put this thing into practice, but also maximize your chances for success. Cause Joe, I tell this story all the time, and it's so embarrassing. I shouldn't share it publicly on a podcast, but
I think you should.
My first bodybuilding show, 1990, it was 94, 95. I'm sitting there. I've been working out. I'm dieting. I'm trying to work on my posing. And I go to my mom and like, Mom, what do you think? And she's like, son, you look amazing. You look fantastic. You're going to win. Now listen, my mom loves me, but is she qualified to tell me like does she have any experience with she's never even been to a bodybuilding show. She doesn't even know what it is.
Right.
Ideally, I should have been asking a judge maybe, or a fellow competitor. And I asked my mom.
So on that note, I have a picture here I'm going to pull up right now. And
and I'm not letting you share your screen, so don't worry about it. See, that's the one thing about having sharing permission.
Tell the judges later, but my mom said I was going to win.
What? No, my mom, you guys are wrong. Listen, that lady over there, that's my mom. She told me I'm going to. Right. Yep. I totally get it, man. So
she helped you get dressed though?
No, man. No, it doesn't. So this is awesome, man. So like, I think what I'm hearing is like a few things. And so accountability, super, super important, especially with all the distractions and potential, rabbit trails that we can take as a business owner. I'm hearing, work within your skill, not just your skill set, but your personality makeup to choose the things that you're going to be successful at. I'm hearing, to build in some systems and tools like the calendar, like the whiteboard, blocking, but also utilize people and your environment as well. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed that you think that would be important to mention here?
So this is just from a personal perspective and I've had to learn this myself over the years. My story has a lot of dark spots in it. And when I say dark, meaning that they weren't good. And so what I have learned over these years is kindness is the most important thing we can have in our life and our business. Just being kind to others, whether you like the person or not. You want to walk away from every conversation, every business meeting, whatever it is, so that person can't, or group or business, whatever, they can't When you're not there, they can't say that person wasn't kind or they weren't good, because I can tell you that is such a game changer for people. Because I'm not trying. We had a president that people were so excited to see him fail. And he'll be the first to admit he's not generally the kindest person, with his tweeting and stuff like that. So people were looking forward to him to fail. And so that's when you think about something like that, and that's not meant to be political, it's being realistic. Okay. And so the point is that my goal, I have nothing to gain by not being kind to people. Okay. All I have is to gain is to be kind to people and try and treat people with respect, love, kindness. And that doesn't mean that every person is the right client for me, nor am I the right coach or speaker for every person. Okay. But that doesn't mean that we still can't be good to each other and kind to each other.
Love it, man. Love it, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's like a life kind of, just you can apply that everywhere in your life. I see the value of that.
Thank you.
Hey man, where do people learn more about you if they want to find out what you do? And I know you have 3 books, you do these speaking gigs. Like, how do people find out more about your services and you?
Sure. So the books, you can get everything right off my website, which is joenovara.com. I kept it real simple.
That's Novara for everyone listening right now.
Yes. Yep. And, my signature event that I loved inviting folks to is called The Total Business Breakthrough. And you can get to that just by going to thetotalbusinessbreakthrough.com. But it's also right on my website as well. Okay. You can buy all 3 of my books right off of my website. Intentional Networking, Grow Your Network, Grow Your Business, and Mindset Matters, Setting Goals and Securing Sales. Those are my 3 books.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I value our friendship and your time, man. We'll catch you soon, bro.
Thanks. Hey, thanks, everybody.
Man, that was an awesome interview, but I got to tell you, Peter, as I'm watching the video of us interviewing Joe, I'm looking at my shirt. I have a Life in Air shirt on. You can see the logo here. And I realized that my 1-year-old Adela had spit up on me earlier today, and I didn't see it until we're doing the video, and it's too late. And I'm like, so it's right there. You can see it. Oh, it's right here. You can see the baby spit up on my shoulder. Yes, that's dad battle scars. So I hope, yes, I washed my clothes. It just happened this morning. So
the fact that you had to make a disclaimer, yes, I washed my clothes.
Well, I just want to make sure everybody's like, this isn't from like 8 years ago. So here's the cool thing, man. I like accountability and results in all seriousness. Like it's such an important, piece of success. And I think it's part of the path that like makes you stay focused on what you really want and like gives you the kind of like the nudge to get it done. Like, and I think we talked about this a little bit. We didn't go into detail, but like you need to have an idea of the results you're after, the right results. Mm-hmm. And that in and of itself is a little bit of an exploration that you need to really make sure you're focusing on the right thing, in your business. And like, we talk about this at the Business Builder Workshop a little bit, like what specifically is the level at your business, what challenges you're facing, and let's like kind of really make sure we're focusing on the right thing. And then the accountability is like, hey, we've put the action steps in place. We know what the plan is, and and the accountability is like to keep you on that path and moving forward.
Yeah. And I really like that because it starts to, in the world of squirrels running everywhere, right? You tend to get really focused and intentional of what you're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
And we do this in life and all the time. Think about it when we talk about the vision. What are your priorities, right? On top of that vision, what are the goals that are going to help you get closer to this vision? So you get intentional. Then the second part I really like that I don't think has been discussed a lot in this world is picking the right type of goals and the right type of accountability for the right type of a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you're, for instance, he mentioned a little bit about the 6 human needs, that test, and start looking to what kind of a person you are, that if you are going after this particular goal, knowing that I'm a person who needs a lot of certainty, or I'm a person who's an introvert, or I'm a person who loves connection with other people, that goal that I'm setting up for myself is going to help me to win that, as opposed to go against my nature.
Play to your strengths. Yeah.
Right. And same thing again with the accountability. And I think a lot of people, when they fail, it's because it goes against their nature.
Right.
And who they are. And then they start wondering, why do I keep failing? So having the coach and having someone alongside of you that helps you maybe identify those things and then helps you create those goals. Because think about it this way. If you've been failing for a long time in your life, in maybe starting business or starting a goal or going to the gym or whatever the case may be, there is something to that. So if you have someone who is able to help you identify this, it helps tremendously to start winning in those areas.
Yeah. Yeah. And, two things we did not discuss in regards to accountability that I think are really valuable as well is one is we talk about this in Life and Air a lot is having your why, because just having a box to check in and of itself, even if you have a goal in front of you, unless you have a strong enough why associated with that goal, there is a chance you'll default on the action you say you're going to want to take. And so I think it's important to have a reason for that. And then the second thing is that we didn't talk about as well is like, I think it's okay to build in accountability along with rewards and or consequences. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, I'm thinking of your example. So I'm going to tell this story here. And it may,
you are going to go into that right now?
Oh, really? We're going to share it right now.
I think we're out of time right now. I think just out of time. The podcast is the number of megabytes that we can allow for this particular episode is running out right now.
Well, I'll talk fast then, man.
It's okay.
So this is accountability for Peter. Several years ago when he was a student in Life and Air, he wanted to launch his own podcast. And so he said he wanted to do it. He said he wanted to do it, but he wasn't doing it. And so the accountability really wasn't working at that point. And so his coaches at the time, and I'm proud to say that I was part of that team at that point in time, got to institute this. And Peter agreed to this, but for accountability, we said that if he didn't get his podcast done and launched and have 3 episodes recorded by the next mastermind, the next retreat, then he had to do what, Peter?
I don't remember.
He had to walk around the hotel and sit in on 3 days of our retreat the entire time in nothing but a Speedo.
And the group was gracious enough to help me pick out that Speedo. I mean, I remember between the retreats, I was getting communication and pictures and what about this Speedo? What about that Speedo?
Now, and it was fun and you agreed to it and you got it done though. I'll tell you, by the way, everyone that would have had to see you in that Speedo is also motivated to help you succeed as well, because we didn't want to experience that too.
Hey, what are you trying to say? No, but here's the thing. I think the important thing about that particular accountability is one, I had to agree to it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I don't agree to it, then I'm kind of rebelling.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to do it. So I had to agree to it. 2, it played to, if you really think about who I am as a person, because if you did it for someone else that is not the type of a person I am, it probably wouldn't work, the whole Speedo thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So,
totally.
Right, there's significance and all that kind of stuff. Right. And the third thing is that is important in accountability, I think, is that I knew that the room is going to hold me accountable to actually hitting that goal. They're not going to allow me to go, you know what, I didn't hit it, so I'm not going to wear a Speedo. And people are going to be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. I knew that they're going to hold me accountable. And I think those are important things when you are talking about accountability. You need to be accountable to someone who you know is going to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Because we're very good at making excuses, whether it's in business and personal life, especially, because Joe talked about in this particular episode about fires. We got 50,000 fires going. So I can give you 50,000 fire examples of why I couldn't do it. But when you have someone who keeps you accountable to the point that you know you're going to do it and they're going to keep you accountable, all of a sudden, this little magic thing happens and you make it happen.
That's a huge, huge point, man. Because so many people let each other off the hook, consistently, and you're not helping anybody. You think you're being kind, but you're not. You're hurting that person. If they tell you they need accountability and you're not providing that accountability they're asking for. So awesome episode. Really enjoyed it. Go check out Joe and learn more about him. if you'd like to. And in the meantime, if you want to be part of the Life Inner community, part of the conversation, head over to lifeinner.com. You can download the Life Inner app. You can learn more about what we do over there, be part of the conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, leave us a rating, give us a thumbs up, tell your friends about us, tell your family about us. And we'd appreciate that. It helps. Yeah, that's right. It helps quite a bit in us reaching more and more people. So until next time, identify those results, build in some accountability, find someone to keep you accountable, and be kind. We'll see you next week, everyone. Yeah, Peter, you got something?
Yeah, one last thing. Send Bojo a couple $2 to wash a shirt.
All right. See you next week, everyone.